Ladies and gentlemen, this is how not a flop looks like.
I'm a bird, mother. I'm a bird.
DUSTBORN dev just responded and he is not happy. Excellent. Excellent.
All right, let's see. Let's see what he says.
Hey guys, do you remember that hilariously bad game, DUSTBORN? Well, good
Not a game.
news for us. We got more entertainment coming from DUSTBORN because
Hell
they're
yeah.
back for more. We have an
cool.
article here from gamer.no titled DUSTBORN dev opens up after brutal launch. Quoting, caught us completely off guard. They subcaption this.
Really? Really now, boy. The bad launch caught you off guard? Really?
Red Thread Games has endured hate and threats after the launch of their new game. Their CEO is worried for the future of the industry. It's so pathetic how
Okay, he has no leg to stand on with this shit. I'm sorry. The literal lyrics of the song of the game is "We are the DUSTBORN, we are the new porn." How can you be so crazy in the head? What?
Oh Lord.
how these corpos always play victim. How about they take accountability for once for trying to sell a terrible product? And as usual, they don't post any evidence of these alleged threats. Instead, they try and deflect attention to these alleged threats, ignoring what 99.9% of people were actually saying about this game, which is very reasonable criticism. Alright, let's continue. Ragnar Turnquist is one of the leading figures in the Norwegian game industry. He has worked in game development for nearly 30 years and loves his job. It is his greatest passion. However, the launch of DUSTBORN, the newest game from Red Threads Games, has forced him to seriously reconsider whether game development is something worth pursuing.
No, he shouldn't pursue. Honestly, he should just quit.
Hey, do you guys remember when Concord had some of their devs being like, we don't even know if we want to make games anymore after what these people said?
Can I take the criticism to a point where people don't even want to buy your game? Leave the industry.
You should just leave the industry because this industry was not for you. I'm sorry.
If you cannot take criticism and you do not know what your customers want, move out of the industry. You, as it is, you don't give a shit about what the customer wants. Get the fuck out.
About our game. And then everyone was like, okay, good. Similar thing going on here, it looks like. Is it worth living this way when you have a family? Wow, seriously? This
What?
guy's so
Bro,
dramatic.
what?
That is one of the questions Turnquist has asked himself. The game has received enormous international attention, mostly of the negative kind. That's an understatement. Pretty much all negative kind, really. While critics have generally welcomed DUSTBORN, yeah, no. Criticism has
What?
flooded social media.
Who's gonna
Many
tell
have
him?
reacted strongly, claiming the game pushes a woke agenda. It seems like the person who
It sounds like he's in a one-man production of a Shakespearean play.
wrote this article, the journalist, doesn't even know anything about DUSTBORN. This game has to be one of the most on-the-nose, politically brain-rotted games ever.
Yep.
Realistically, though, the journalist probably does know about DUSTBORN. They're just like being a typical gaming journalist, like, oh, gamers bad. Anyone who dislikes this game is far right. All the criticism is hate and threats. Conspiracy theories are abound. It caught us completely off guard. We were very surprised by the extreme reaction to the launch, and we had no plan for how to handle it, Turnquist tells gamer.no. What does he even mean, like, plan how to handle it? It's not like the only issue with this game were a bunch of bugs or something that they could patch out and work on. Like, the game story and the dialogue and all that stuff is just terrible.
Do I need to remind everyone the literal dialogue where the protagonist, Pax, says, "Oh, you're my sister. I forgot you're a person."
There's no handling it. Just admit that you
Oh,
messed
yeah.
up. Wild falsehoods. Turnquist has been through tough situations before. He lives at a secret address and has an unlisted phone number precisely because he knows how intense fans can be. What kind of point is that?
Okay, that's giving me the same vibes of like, stop it, you. Stop chasing me. Wait, why aren't you chasing me? Same vibe.
Most people on the internet don't want their personal information being given to everyone out there. Like, it's a nothing point. What the heck, dude? This article's so bad. But nothing could have prepared him for what happened with DUSTBORN. He won't go into detail about everything he's heard, but Turnquist claims there's been both harassment and threats. You can easily ignore what's said on forums or on X. Emails feel a little closer to home, but receiving text messages where someone wishes you dead is unsettling, he says.
I get it on the regular. Look, I'm not saying it's good. Absolutely never send threats to other people. When you get it, just block the person. Sadly, we all get it.
Okay, well, yeah, to be fair, it's one thing to criticize the game. It's another to get all, like, personal about it, if he's telling the truth, that is. Several videos about Turnquist have surfaced.
No, I do believe... This is the only thing I do believe that he's saying the truth about. I do believe him when he says he's getting threats. Which is pretty ironic, because that's literally what they teach you inside of the game.
One video claims that Turnquist has said he wants to drown babies. What? What video is that, dude? What the heck? It should be fairly obvious that I don't want babies to find that
video. I need to find that video.
I think it's outrageous. There's no way I can get this removed. And it's a very damaging lie. I just have to ignore it and hope people are smart enough to understand that it's not true. Okay, so I went and looked into that some more, and what a bizarre rabbit hole this is. So apparently this comes from an old forum post from back in 2015.
Okay.
And so someone on that forum made like basically an essay long post and ends with the paragraph you can see here. The response that reads, "What an awesome post and so much better and more diplomatic than mine. This is why I should continue to leave the discussion to you guys," is allegedly from Ragnar. It looks like his account, if that really is him. So he didn't even make the quote, although he does seem to be agreeing with the post. To which, yeah, it actually does look like someone made a video accusing Ragnar of wanting to drown babies or something like that. To which the video got reposted over on Reddit. And you can see various users talking about the aforementioned quote here, in which these people openly dislike DUSTBORN and dislike Ragnar, but even they're defending him on this point, basically saying that they disagree with the points that the quote makes and that they're terrible points, but it's not accurate to what Ragnar was being accused of. And then once again, the full context is that Ragnar was agreeing with that post, but he didn't even make it himself. So okay, with that out of the way, let's get back to the article. Below and out of proportion. On social media, many are drawing parallels between Red Thread Games' DUSTBORN and Firewalk Studios' shooter Concord. Red Thread's office in Oslo houses 12 people. Firewalk has 165 employees, and Sony, a billion-dollar company, backing it as a publisher. Okay, but the comparisons are about the games. And both of them clearly have some like DI approach in the games, and that just backfired terribly for both games. So yeah, there's definitely some...
It's the DI infestation in the games, the tone deafness of the entirety of the team, and the fact that the team was pretty much incapable of delivering a product. And also another reason people keep comparing these two games is purely because those quote-unquote critics who kept shilling for them. That's one of the main reasons.
Some fair comparisons to make between the two of them. We are a tiny studio. That's why it feels so blown out of proportion when we experience so many attacks and conspiracies. It takes a toll. Red Thread's goal is to create story-driven games that stand out. They aim to make something innovative and fresh. The developer has always made games that are different, often featuring characters that are a bit out of the ordinary. Well, I don't know about the other games that they made, but DUSTBORN, those characters were super ordinary and extremely boring. It's like the most ordinary posers, generic posers.
I wouldn't say they're ordinary characters. They're psychopathic characters for sure. But by default, it makes them extraordinary because of how psychotic they are.
That means many people don't like their games, and Turnquist is fine with that. They have their niche. Their games aren't for everyone. It's been really tough to deal with this. We're used to people not liking our games. Yeah, that's not surprising. But we appreciate well-argued reviews, even if they're negative. The difference here is the massive amount of negative feedback from people who have never played the game and never...
Absolutely, absolutely, he needs to shut up with this point. I played the game. I streamed testing out the game, and I got a lot of hate from their quote-unquote community. He's the definition of a dude who thinks everyone's shit smells, but his doesn't.
Never will. They just jump on the bandwagon of making those videos, says Turnquist. So this guy says that he appreciates well-argued reviews even if they're negative, but he seemingly doesn't acknowledge any of the actual criticism that people have, so it comes off like he's just being fake. Difficult. We have to take the threat seriously, says Turnquist. One of his most important tasks as a leader has been to shield his employees from the worst of it. Before the launch, they talked about how they should avoid reading social media and focus on the positives instead. They've tried to lift each other up by sharing the good feedback they receive. Fortunately, most of the team hasn't been directly targeted. We've done what we can to support those who have received personal messages. For about half of them, DUSTBORN is their first experience creating and releasing a game. It's tough to see people talk about their work, calling them incompetent or lazy, or saying they should just quit making games. It's obviously difficult for us. They actually have a section about people thinking the game was satire, it looks like.
I was one of those people who kept on saying this has to be satire. I've made so many videos and streams where I literally kept on saying this has to be satire. I did check. He hasn't blocked me yet, but he did go unprotected.
Like, satire? Did you expect debate over some of the more obviously politically correct aspects of the game? Yes, but we were never out to provoke. We just wanted to make a game with characters that are different. We didn't think it would be so controversial that a group would fight against a fascist regime. I don't think many people want to live in a police state, and our version of the US is by no means the real America. He keeps trying to say that the characters are not ordinary, but like I said earlier, they're extremely ordinary and boring, like the most generic posers ever. Okay, moving forward, I'm going to try and interject less because there's still a lot of this article left. Many games have faced criticism for using more pronouns than just he and she. DUSTBORN also does this. The use of pronouns has become relatively established in games, and we knew people could react to that. But it was the reality we wanted to present. We don't feel we've made a game that's primarily about politics. It's more about language and relationships between people.
So let's talk about the language that is being used in the game. We're the freaks. We're the outcasts. We look just like you. We're nothing like you. You're the past, dude. We will eclipse you. We're the aliens. We're the refugees. We walk among you. We're right behind you. Your time is past. Your kind won't last. We're the DUSTBORN. This bug is airborne. We're the new porn. Our kind is newborn.
One of the game's premises is that words have power, and in its combat system you can trigger or cancel opponents. Some professional critics have pointed out that this must be satire, while the internet takes everything much more seriously. So is this satire? I think the game speaks for itself. It's over the top in many ways. It's colorful, inspired by comic books, and has fight sequences against giant robotic mascots, and has a sarcastic view of the world. It doesn't take itself very seriously, says Turnquist, elaborating. I hope people can see the game and understand that it's an alternate world, something that also applies to the story. The game may be a dystopian reflection of the world, but the story is not written for realism. It's done with humor and exaggeration, and
where's the humor though? Where's the humor part?
It's very much tongue-in-cheek. Tidal wave of hate. Red Thread currently has about 16 employees in total. The number has been stable for a while, and keeping it that way is a goal moving forward. They want to keep the same team. It creates financial security because they're flexible if they end up canceling a project. We all care a lot about each other and enjoy working together. After the launch, they posted a message on social media asking people to behave, following what they call the tidal wave of hate. Oh my gosh, do you remember that post, guys? That thing was so...
Yeah, they made this post and right away switched off comments. They asked for constructive criticism. Honestly, I went there to make a constructive criticism. The second I open it, the comments are locked.
Oh, bad. That was such an embarrassment. I can't believe they actually made that post. Turnquist feels that this was mocked, so they decided to remain silent about the game and wait for things to calm down. That hasn't worked either. It seems like people twist everything we say with malicious intent. They've created a narrative that Red Thread is corrupt and making propaganda, but the fact is we've made a game we want to talk about and share with others. It's not for everyone, and they don't have to play it. Okay, this is hilarious. They have a section titled Not a Flop. How are they going to argue this one? On social media, a big deal has been made about DUSTBORN being a flop, and that no one is playing it. That's not how the developer sees it, but Red Thread would certainly like the sales numbers to be higher.
You think the game is not a flop?
Really?
Ladies and gentlemen, this is how not a flop looks like.
DUSTBORN is not a flop. The game has received mixed reviews, but also a lot of positive feedback. Those who actually...
Okay, fair enough.
Hello?
Hello, team.
Mostly positive.
Mostly positive, by the way.
Wait, my review is pretty high up.
Yeah, I saw someone says, finish DUSTBORN. I'm so sorry for your loss.
Enjoy it. DUSTBORN isn't selling as much as we would like, but we're proud of it and think it's a good game, says Turnquist. The publisher, Quantic Dream, holds the detailed sales figures, so Turnquist doesn't have full oversight yet. This is common for game launches. Even though it's not an immediate success, it has sold far more than what people are saying online, I can say that. Well bro, at least on Steam, the game apparently has a peak player count of like 83. If they don't consider that a flop, I can't even imagine what their projections were. Skipping this section about profitability.
Their projections were that they consider it as a success just releasing the game. That's the level of craziness we're dealing with.
I want to get to this area where they say state funding in the millions. I'm surprised they're actually talking about this. Let's see. A significant part of the discussion surrounding DUSTBORN has been the game's public funding. Red Thread received 14 million Norwegian krones from the Norwegian Film Institute for the development of the game and has also received around 150,000 euros in EU grants. Once
I want my taxes back.
they are financially stable like Funcom, they will focus on giving back to the industry. Our goal is to earn enough that we don't need support, says Turnquist. Okay, but like, you made a game that's supposed to have these punk characters that are actually a bunch of posers, but you do that while receiving government funding. Surely you can see how pathetic that is, right? Are they acknowledging that? No, it doesn't seem like they are. They use the support to cover expenses like salaries, rent, and equipment purchases. Most of the funds are spent in Norway, and both Red Thread and its employees pay taxes, of course. Moving on to fearful for industry. Turnquist feels that the industry in general is afraid of how their games will be received. I mean, they should. The industry, AAA especially, has been putting out so much slop, dude. It's good that gamers are standing up for themselves. If anything, gamers are being better revolutionaries than these alleged activists who sell on social media.
Actually, gamers did something no other community was able to do, and that's unite.
Yep.
Media these days. You see this in the reception of more and more games. Everything becomes a part of the culture war. I hope we can get past this, because it's very unfortunate, both for those in the industry today, potential new developers, investors, and publishers. No one wants to get caught in such a culture war storm. This guy saying that, this seems completely tone deaf, man. The sort of game that he released, really? Reminds me of Paul Tassi complaining about the culture war as he simultaneously releases articles that propagate the culture war. Next, they argue about diversity in games. Turnquist thinks it's great that we can aim for diversity in the industry. Diversity has always been central to Red Thread games. Those who are not interested in it don't need to play those games, he believes. Diversity is positive for everyone. Games like Black Myth Wukong, Mario, and Elden Ring won't stop existing just because we released DUSTBORN. There's room for both these games and everything in between, even those that only appeal to a limited audience.
Yes, there's room for any kind of a game, but there's one teeny tiny problem. DUSTBORN is not a game.
There's nothing wrong with diverse characters, as long as they're genuine and written well. But of course, he's not going to acknowledge the very real issues with things like DEI practices and how disingenuous they are, and how objectively they've harmed a lot of the games that they've been shoehorned into. Has the debate around DUSTBORN changed your view of the room for political messages in games? Absolutely not. Some games are pure entertainment and focus on the player experience and fun, and it's great that such games exist. Other games aren't as fun to play, but are more about the feelings you get from playing them. Then there are games that can address more serious topics. Games can be many things. Alrighty guys, there you go. That's the article. Let me know what you think about this response from Rap.
Either he's rage baiting, or he's trying to play the victim, like, as we recently watched on stream, Himbalair did.